Welcome everybody, my name is Ola El Hosseini, Microsoft Certified Professional and Microsoft Office Specialist. In this tutorial, we are going to create an application. This application, we can use it in any kind of transactions like sales transactions or client transaction. In this example, we are going to use the application in sales transactions. We are working in mobile product, so we need to enter the data for each transaction like this. When any transaction happened, we need to enter the date of the transaction like this, and the category of the product and its brand and the name of the product. And we want, when we choose a specific brand, we want its product will be displayed in the other list like this. Okay, in this application, we are going to learn how to do it. Okay, when we specify the product name, its price will be displayed automatically. Then we will type the quantity of the item like this. Then the total of the sales will be displayed automatically. Let's get started, okay? In this application, we want to create 3 sheets. The first one, we will enter the data of the product, okay? So the first step, we will type the header row like this. In our example, we will use the table to enter the data. Okay, so I am going to choose the header row and the next row. Then I am going to choose the home tab and the format as table. And then I am going to choose any style I want, like this one. And I want to make sure I choose this option. My table has header, so I mark this checkbox like this and hit press OK. Okay. The next step, I am going to type the data of the product. Okay, now I am going to enter the data of the product. Okay, now I enter the data like this. The next sheet, its name is lists. This sheet, I am going to enter the brands, the different brands like this, and the product for each brand like this. And then I am going to use the table, so I choose the brand's name like this and apply the table. So I am going to choose the home tab and then format as table and apply the style. Then I am going to apply the table for the other products like this, and so on. Then I am going to define a name for each product. So I am going to define a name for the brand column like this. So I select the brand column, then I define a name. So I am going to choose the formulas tab. Then I specify the define name command. Then I am going to specify a name for the brand column. And be sure don't type a space. Then I hit OK. And so on for the other products. And so on. Okay. The third step, I am going to design the sales transaction sheet. So I am going to apply a table. So I am going to select the header row and the next one. Then I am going to apply a table like this. And to be sure my table has header option is selected, so I mark this checkbox and press OK. The next step, I am going to create the lists. Okay, the first one, I am going to create the list of the categories. Okay, so I am going to select the data tab. Then I am going to choose the data validation. Under setting, I am going to choose list from the drop-down list. Then in source, I am going to specify the different categories. Okay. Between the different choices, we have to type a separator. This separator could be comma or semicolon, depending on your computer setting. In this example, I am going to use comma separator, okay? And press OK. So now I have a list of different categories like this. Then the other one, I am going to specify a list of different brands. So I am going to choose data tab, then data validation. Under allow, I choose list, then in source, I have to specify the source data. In this way, I will make it by a different way. I am going to use the name of the brand. So I am going to choose the formulas tab, Then in formula, I am going to choose brand list, then hit OK. Now I have a list of the different brands. The idea of using name, I want if I add a new brand like this, I press tab, then I am going to type the name of the new brand, for example HTC. This brand name will be displayed automatically in the list like this. That's why we are using table plus name, because we want, if we add a new data, this data will be displayed automatically in the list. Okay, the third list, we want, if we choose a specific brand, we want its product will be displayed in the list. Okay, so I am going to choose data tab, then data validation. Under allow, I am going to choose list. In this time, I am going to use the if statement. So I equal type equal, then F parentheses. I am going to check the data of the D4. So I am going to type D4. I want to check if this cell contains the Apple brand. So I am going to type Apple. If the cell contains Apple brand, I want to display the products of the Apple. So I am going to choose the list of the Apple. So I am going to choose formula tab, then use in formula. I am going to choose Apple list. Okay. Otherwise, I want to check if the D4 contains Samsung brand. So I am going to type F statement again and type parentheses, and I want to check the data of the D4. So I am going to type D4 equal Samsung. So I want to display the data of the product of the Samsung. So I am going to choose the Samsung list. Okay. Otherwise, I want to display the data of the Huawei, the product of the Huawei. So I am going to choose Huawei list. Then I close the parentheses. I type the parentheses twice because I use the if statement twice. Then I press OK. Let's test if I choose a specific brand like Apple, its products displayed. No, there is something wrong. Okay. Let's see what is the problem. Okay. I want to check the data validation again. Okay, the problem is I have to type C instead of D because we choose the brand name in the C4 and instead of D4. This is the problem. I press OK. Let's test the list. Apple. Now the list is display the product of the Apple. If we choose Samsung, the list is display the product of the Samsung. Okay, cool. Okay. The third step, we want when we choose the product, we want its price display in the price cell. So I am going to use Vlookup. Okay, so I have to prepare the data source. Okay, I type the product data in the product sheets. So I have to prepare this sheet. I am going to define a name for my data. So I am going to choose the model name and its price and define its name. So I am going to choose the formulas tab, then define name. Then I define a name like price list and press OK. Then I am going to switch to the sales transaction and select the price cell and type my formula. I type equal. Then I am going to use if statement with Vlookup because I want to be sure the user select a product. Okay, so I am going to use if statement. Okay, and I want to make sure the data the user select a product in the cell. So I type a D4 not equal empty. It isn't empty, so I type double quotation twice. If the D4 isn't empty, so I want to display the price of the product. So I am going to use the Vlookup. The first argument of the Vlookup, it will be the product name. So I am going to type D4. So I am going to check the value of the D4. Then the second argument is called table array, which means it refers to the data source. The data source, I define a name for it. I call it price list. The third argument of the Vlookup, I have to specify the number of the price column. So I am going to type 2. The fourth argument of the Vlookup is true or false. I am going to choose false because I want of the product is exist. I want to display its price. If the product isn't exist, I want to display NA, which means not available. Okay, then I close the parentheses. Okay, otherwise I want to leave the cell empty, so I am going to type empty double quotation twice. Then I am going to close the parentheses and I press enter. Okay, the last task I want, when I specify the product name and its price, I want and the quantity. Okay, I want to calculate the value of the total sales. So I am going to make a calculation. So I am going to use if statement equal, and I want to check I want to make sure the user select a product, okay, and the price is exist. So I am going to use or function, okay. So I am going to check the product name, okay, D4. If the D4 is empty, so I am going to type equal empty, double quotation, I am going to type double quotation twice, or D4 is equal NE, so if any of this condition is true, I want to type 0. Otherwise, I am going to multiply the price times the quantity. And I am going to close the parentheses and press enter. Okay. So if we enter new transaction, I type the date, then I choose the category smartphone, and then I am going to choose the brand name or Apple, and choose the product. Okay, the price will be displayed automatically when I specify the quantity. Excel will calculate the total of the sale automatically. Okay, this is our application. I hope it will be helpful for you. Thank you, all of you. Thank you.